Hello again, everybody. We're going to be looking at Tomodachi Life, Living the Dream, but the trailers from different regions. I've picked 4 mostly at random. Now they needed to be different, and there are going to be differences among these, but you will see the 2-letter country kind of, let's call it code, and it's not necessarily country code entirely, because for instance, top left, NA, that's Nintendo of America, but really North America. AU, that's going to be Australia. That's on top right. UK, self-explanatory, but it's from the Nintendo UK channel. That's bottom right, and then bottom left is going to be JP or Japan, Nintendo Japan. So check this out. I am going to talk over some of it and then we're going to listen to some of it because there will also be some audio differences. But what you're going to see straight from the go is that these are all starting at the same time, like at the beginning of the trailer. You see that because the Switch logo with the little snap, they all happen simultaneously, but you're going to see actually in A, for example, it loads the slowest, when fading in. AU and UK are mostly going to stay the same. Now we're going to take this main audio essentially from Nintendo UK. It seems that the European trailer, that's like what they use for many of the other territories, and they just put, well, I guess you have to put a lot of the times, but there's closed captioning, in the language. So if it's DE, like for Germany, or if it's from Nintendo France, whatever it may be. Some of this may be a little meaningless to you guys, like some of the things we point out, but if we want to backtrack, we're going to take all of these back. Don't worry, it'll stay at the same starting time, like at the same rate. Okay, so if we resume it, there's going to be a lot of similarities coming up right here. If you want, you can hear the audio of our elderly friend saying, when is the game coming out? And of course, it's really just different in Japan.
When is the game coming out? 発売はまだか。
And so with that, you're going to notice where we see the Mii customization, really it's just North America that diverts from a lot of them, because other than Japan being ahead right now, look at how these are essentially, they're all going to be matched up, right? And so obviously I would love it if anybody in the audience, spoke Japanese or could read it, just because maybe you could tell if there are text differences. I would imagine that there are, just a lot of the times in general, because what we'll then eventually end up seeing is where Japan is now, when we're seeing Anne, that's this me, and it is Anne in all of the territories unless Japan has a different name. Again, I can't actually read Japanese, like my languages in life are basically English and Spanish, but yeah, we are seeing actually different text. So really, again, it was North America that kind of went different. We see movement slow and quick. We see energy flat on all of them, but then it's going to be different. It's going to be varied over on NA, but then intense from AU and UK. We're also going to see thinking on North America, but then attitude for the others, and the others do say serious and relaxed, while NA is going to say serious and chill. And then we've got overall, that's still just going to be normal and quirky. And so this is also interesting. Just the same goes for like speed, pitch, depth. Those are going to remain the same across the territories, but then if you see delivery as well as tone, that's what it is for North America or Nintendo of America. But then you're going to see in the other territories rise and fall, and then melody with the numbers. And of course, Anne, we are going to hear from her. She's going to have an accent that does match the regions accordingly for the most part. Again, they're going to be using essentially Nintendo of Europe like a main kind of trailer template, and again, the text has to be then captioned into whatever, wherever you're viewing from.
I can't wait to start living here. I can't wait to start living here. 今日からよろしくお願いします. I can't wait to start living here.
And again, these are little differences, but you're actually going to see in Japan right here. So this me, and in a way they use Alice. You're going to see though AU, UK, Japan, they've got Mizuho. The room angle is going to be different. Now the shelves, the room itself, we're seeing that things are largely the same. It's just that with Alice on the NA side, you could actually see the number. So like the Y button, and then it has the presumably me icon, for 5. That's how many me's are kind of needing something, right? And then across JP, UK, Australia, you can actually get a better look at the laptop now. It does seem to appear there. From Alice's point of view, we don't really get a good look at that. And in Japan, for example, you don't really get a good look at the lamp on the, well, it'd be to our right in the corner, kind of near the door, right? So it's just interesting. Like these things all, again, may not mean a whole lot to people. You have to imagine, why did they use the different trailers? Sometimes you can kind of imagine that for Mii's, for example, like the choice choice of Miis might fit more to a specific region or something. So maybe they use, I don't know, like different skin tones, different sizes of facial features and things. It's just interesting that in A, really, Nintendo of America is the one that did it different than all the others. You know, like, what was that? But also, there's no needy Miis over there in Japan, are there? Same with Australia, same with United Kingdom, but there's one needy Mii in North America. And then don't you also notice the angle is different? I'm sure a lot of you guys have theories, or maybe you have actual reasons that you know that some of these might be different, but it's like surely the angle shouldn't matter too much, should it? You know, the angle at which we're looking at. And so obviously, kind of just looking a little bit more, it's like you could imagine like a 90-degree turn, right, with North America. Whereas let's look at Australia, kind of the Europe template here. You're seeing that it's at this maybe like kind of quarter turn, you know? It's like 45-degree angle, maybe not quite exactly. Nobody nitpick this, please, but look at the text. Of course, they're named Polly in both of them, but we'll see at Nintendo of America, it's Polly really wants to tell a joke she spent all night thinking up. Whereas let's go over to the right side regions and see it seems Polly is enthusiastically speaking about her interests without worrying about looking foolish. I love the whimsy of the word foolish. It's always a good one. Something about it I've always loved. But yes, we're gonna see, of course, strangers to acquaintances on all of them, but top left it says getting familiar, whereas the others it says getting acquainted. So yeah, Japan's still outpacing everybody from starting early, but you can see when we look at it from here on out, we're mostly gonna see the same. Now there will be a little, like a small bit of differences again. Some of these are just so minor, like we've said, so you know, I realize some people may not want to look into all this. We got what feels like a long time to wait until the game comes out, spring of 2026. So I think it's okay to just like break down every kind of minute minute of all of these and look at stuff like this. And so what you're gonna see actually is finally kind of a deviation between AU and UK right there, is that they are gonna have in the top right, it says 2026 AU and NZ. Now that is presumably just because it's even specified like on the YouTube channel, you know, it says Nintendo AU, I believe. I have to go back and check that. But, you know, Australia isn't exactly New Zealand, right? You're even dealing with different time zones and stuff. So obvious differences aside, they do seem to lump it together, right? And you're gonna see Japan obviously adding a little bit to theirs until we then see the others. You know, they say spring of 2026, but notice what's different right here. Isn't this crazy? It's gonna say autumn of 2026. So that's interesting. And so you guys, like I said, I don't really speak Japanese, but when we look at the Nintendo of Japan trailer, I'm guessing that's still 2026 and spring, but when I was just looking up the translation, this is just like Google Translate or whatever, I'm thinking that that's the Japanese kanji for spring, haru. People that know better obviously can correct me if you want to. I mean, I think it's interesting how they did catch up in the end, like the trailers kind of caught up with each other. Japan's still gonna finish just a little bit earlier, but you know, it's really just by like a second off right here. So is there anything else that you guys see? I didn't get to record a long video this time, but we are gonna do kind of a longer breakdown that's based off of people's comments on my first breakdown of the trailer, and it would be actually, we broke down the North American trailer, so you guys, it'll be nice to have a follow-up, just kind of having this knowledge too, right? So if you wanted to see that breakdown, you never seen it before on this channel, that might mean that you're not subscribed yet, so hey, why not subscribe, but also then click an end screen, see another video, join our Discord down below, and thanks for viewing.